ever get that, like, surge of national pride? But then it gets kind of complicated, right? Like, it's not just about cheering for your team, it's deeper than that. What does it actually mean to be proud, especially when things are messy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, this idea of complicated pride. We've got this fascinating account from someone who says the Freedom Convoy, it actually rekindled their Canadian pride and
It's interesting. When I first read through this, it's not just someone listing off events. It felt more like, almost like a window into how they see the world, this struggle to connect with their own country.
it's like they're proud of the history, the achievements, all that. But then present day Canada, it's like a gut punch, this feeling that their Canada is slipping away.
Exactly. And it highlights how powerful these personal perspectives can be.
Yeah.
Because it's not just disagreeing on policy, right? This person feels alienated from other Canadians. They even say the ruling class, like their values are becoming the minority.
Yeah, and they draw this really sharp line between patriotism and nationalism. One's about the government and the other is about something more. Shared identity, maybe.
And that idea of shared identity, that's key to understanding how they experienced the convoy.
Mhm.
This wasn't just about mandates for them. It was pushing back against this wave of change, like holding on to a version of Canada that's fading away.
Yeah, clinging to it.
Fewer and fewer people even recognize anymore.
It's wild though, right? Because then the tone totally flips when they talk about the convoy. Like all that disappointment, suddenly there's this spark of hope, even defiance a little bit. What do you make of that?
It is remarkable.
Uh,
This event that tore so many people apart seems to have given this person a real sense of belonging, like they found their people. And it's so important to remember that from their view, it wasn't just about the mandates themselves. It was about this feeling of government overreach, this loss of autonomy that really shook them.
it's interesting, they actually compare the convoy to the George Floyd riots. Kind of a strange comparison at first glance, don't you think?
It does seem strange. But when you think about what this person seems to value about the convoy, it's
Yeah.
the order, the unity. They highlight how focused it was on one clear goal.
Yeah.
And they contrast that with what they saw as the chaos of the riots and the destruction. And I don't think it's about saying one event was good or bad. It's more about this desire for a certain kind of resistance, something that lines up with their values,
Yeah.
their ideal vision of change.
Yeah. They even call the convoy a blueprint. And not just for pushing back on mandates, but for any government overreach they see coming down the line. It's like they're looking way ahead. I mean, they even bring up this whole thing about truckers being replaced by self-driving trucks, which kind of ties into that bigger fear of being powerless, just overwhelmed by these massive changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where that need for agency comes in, right?
Yeah.
The feeling that they can actually push back against the things they see changing their whole world. The convoy almost transcends just being a protest. It's this symbol of hope, a sign that their values, maybe they aren't disappearing after all.
There was this one little thing that really stuck with me. The author had all this advice for other protesters, and it was about flags. Specifically, like what flags not to bring to these things.
Hmm.
It seemed so random, but it got me thinking, you know?
It is interesting, yeah. They're thinking about strategy, about optics. To get people on board with your cause, you got to make it approachable for everybody else, too.
Right.
They actually warn against using things like the swastika or the Confederate flag.
Oh, wow.
And they make this point that even if some people relate to that, it turns off way more people than it brings in.
Yeah, alienates
Yeah.
people. It's like they're playing the long game here, right?
Yeah.
Building a movement that's bigger than just one person or one specific ideology.
Yeah, and that's what's so tricky about these movements. How do you hold it all together while still acknowledging everyone's got their own reasons for being there?
Totally.
It's tough. You got to choose your battles, frame your message just right so it connects.
Man, it makes you wonder, looking back, did the Freedom Convoy actually make a difference long term? I mean, obviously it didn't get everything it wanted right away.
Right.
But after reading this account, it does feel like it shifted something for a lot of people.
Yeah, it really makes you think, did this change the conversation? Even a little bit about the role of government, about individual rights. Even if it just planted a seed, got some people asking questions, pushing back a little, that's huge.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
something we all got to figure out, right? This world keeps changing so fast. How do we balance what's best for everyone with individual freedom? And that's what we'll leave you with today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.